Drew Carey created this show as a vision of what his life would have been if he'd never become a stand-up comedian, a mid-level management everyman trapped in corporate drudgery in his hometown of Cleveland. If you've ever shouted Ohio along with the theme song, you already know this show carried a weird energy that other sitcoms just couldn't match. The series premiered on ABC on September 13th, 1995, ran until September 8th, 2004, and produced 233 episodes across 9 seasons. Millions of people watched it during its peak years, but there's a lot about this show that even die-hard fans never knew. These are 15 strange, surprising, and sometimes bizarre facts about the Drew Carey Show, a sitcom that produced live episodes performed 3 times in a single night, featured rock stars in absurd cameos, got buried by its own network, and then vanished from existence for 20 years because of music licensing disasters. Fact 15. The show used 3 different theme songs, and one of them still plays at Cleveland sports games today. Most TV shows stick with one theme song. This one cycled through 3 completely different themes, each reflecting a different era of the series. Season 1 opened with Moon Over Parma, sung by Drew Carey himself, and originally written as a Cleveland novelty song by Robert McGuire.
Moon over Parma, bring my love to me tonight. Guide her to Cleveland.
The opening credits featured an animated caricature of Carey's face, and the original lyrics actually referenced Eastlake, before they changed it to Cleveland for television. Season 2 brought a switch to 5 O'Clock World by the Vogues.
Every moment just to keep a job, I gotta find my way through the hustle and
A 1966 hit that peaked at number 4 on the Billboard Hot 100, and this version introduced the elaborate dance choreography the show became known for. But here's the theme song most people remember. Season 3 debuted Cleveland Rocks, covered by the Presidents of the United States of America, and the original version of that song came from Ian Hunter of Mott the Hoople back in 1979. Hunter actually received the key to the city of Cleveland from Mayor Dennis Kucinich on June 19, 1979, for writing it. Listen closely to the TV version, and you'll hear Drew Carey saying, "Hey," at the beginning, and shouting, "Ohio," at the end. What nobody expected was that this TV theme would outlive the show itself. That version of Cleveland Rocks still plays today after home wins for the Cleveland Guardians and Cleveland Cavaliers, which means a sitcom theme from the late 90s became a permanent part of Cleveland sports culture. By seasons 8 and 9, the show had gotten so experimental that they rotated through 9 different opening sequences, with each of the 3 themes performed in different musical styles by artists including the Cleveland Pops Orchestra, Squirrel Nut Zippers, and the Go-Go's. Fact 14. Craig Ferguson was never supposed to be on the show. Craig Ferguson played Nigel Wick, Drew's insufferable British boss, for 185 episodes, but he was never supposed to appear on the Drew Carey Show at all. Ferguson initially showed up at Warner Brothers Studios to audition for a completely different series, trying out for a role as a Hispanic photographer on Suddenly Susan. That part went to Nestor Carbonell instead. After that failed audition, the casting director sent him across the studio lot to the Drew Carey Show auditions, happening the same day, and that's when everything changed. Here's where it gets interesting. Ferguson played Mr. Wick with an over-the-top posh English accent, and he later explained the choice was specifically to make up for generations of English actors doing crap Scottish accents. James Doohan's portrayal of Montgomery Scott on Star Trek served as the foundation of what Ferguson called his revenge. Every time you watched Craig Ferguson act impossibly pompous and British on that show, he was essentially getting payback for decades of bad Scottish accents in Hollywood. Despite appearing in 185 episodes, Ferguson grew frustrated by reduced screen time in later seasons. His autobiography put it bluntly, "I was being used less and less. Sometimes they would just pay me to stay home and not do anything else," which sounds fantastic, but it doesn't do much for your ego. Fact 13. The live episodes were performed 3 separate times in one night.
Not only are we live tonight, we're going to be improvising a lot of the show right in front of you. Here.
The Drew Carey Show produced 3 fully live episodes during its run, which broke new ground for sitcoms at the time. What most people don't realize is that each live episode required 3 separate performances in a single night to accommodate Eastern, Mountain, and Pacific time zones. The first one aired on November 10th, 1999, and pulled in 19.1 million viewers. Each episode featured 2-minute improvisational segments where cast members invented their own lines, with plots designed loose enough to allow spontaneity. Executive producer Bruce Helford explained the approach this way. The actors don't know what's coming at them. They don't know what's behind every door. Performers from Whose Line Is It Anyway joined the chaos, including Colin Mockery, Wayne Brady, Brad Sherwood, Greg Proops, and Charles Eston. A small broadcast delay gave censors time to edit things, and they actually needed it when someone flashed their buttocks during one of the performances. Drew Live 2 aired the night after the 2000 presidential election, and Drew's jokes about Bush versus Gore proved what people later called prophetic, because that election remained undecided for weeks afterward. Fact 12. Drew Carey's salary increased over 1,000%. $60,000 per episode. That's what Drew Carey earned when the show started. By the final season, that number had climbed to $750,000 per episode, which works out to be a 1,150% increase from start to finish. The jump happened in stages. Seasons 1 through 3 held steady at $60,000, and then a renegotiation bumped seasons 4 through 6 to $300,000 per episode. The final stretch covering seasons 7 through 9 hit $750,000. Combined with his hosting duties on Whose Line Is It Anyway, Carey ranked number 24 on the Forbes list of highest paid entertainers in 1998, pulling in $45.5 million in combined income that year. Production costs rose dramatically too, reaching approximately $3 million per episode by the final seasons, and that helps explain why things got so complicated with the network toward the end. Fact 11. One character's name contains a dark reference to JFK's assassin. Diedrich Bader played Oswald, Drew's best friend, throughout all 233 episodes. His full character name was Oswald Lee Harvey. Lee Harvey Oswald, JFK's assassin, the name's inverted. Show creators confirmed this deliberate name choice, making it one of the show's darker inside jokes hiding in plain sight for 9 seasons. Fact 10. A controversial episode. Got scenes permanently cut after complaints. The Season 2 episode, Two Drews and the Queen of Poland Walk into a Bar, featured Dan Castellaneta, the voice of Homer Simpson, playing a character called Stan, the King of Poland. The portrayal depicted him as a disreputable, homeless character. The Polish-American Congress complained so vigorously that Mimi's entire subplot got cut from all syndication, and the episode in its original form now qualifies as lost media. Drew Carey's autobiography, Dirty Jokes and Beer, revealed they received more complaints about this episode's storyline than any other in the show's entire run. Fact 9. Drew Carey got sued over a McDonald's product placement. Carey had a 6-figure, 2-year endorsement deal with A&W Food Services of Canada, and then an episode of The Drew Carey Show featured McDonald's products. A&W fired him in November 1998, but that wasn't enough for them. They refused to pay out the remaining contract and demanded Carey return $450,000 they'd already paid him. Carey countersued for the $600,000 owed from a recent contract extension. A single product placement in a sitcom episode had turned into nearly $1 million worth of lawsuits. Fact 8. The musical episodes were genuinely Broadway-level productions. The Drew Carey Show became famous for elaborate musical numbers that went way beyond typical sitcom production values. The Season 2 finale, New York and Queens, aired on May 14, 1997, and featured a dance-off between Rocky Horror Picture Show fans and Priscilla, Queen of the Desert fans. The guest list bordered on absurd, with Carol Channing, Donald Trump, and Nicholas Turturro all appearing. During rehearsals at Warner Brothers Studios, Matthew Perry from Friends visited and actually joined in the dancing. A later fan poll pitted this episode against Glee's musical numbers, and Drew Carey's show won 60.8% to 39.2%. The season 400th episode, Brotherhood of Man, aired on May 26, 1999, with the cast performing the full musical number from How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying. That performance won Outstanding Achievement in Episodic Television at the 2000 American Choreography Awards. In Ramada Davida took things even further when Drew, Oswald, and Lewis form a band called the Horn Dogs and hold guitar auditions. The lineup of musicians who showed up defies belief. Slash, Joey Ramone, Rick Nielsen from Cheap Trick, Dusty Hill from ZZ Top, Matthew Sweet, Lisa Loeb, Dave Mustaine, Roy Clark, Johnny Lang, and Joe Walsh. Season 7 brought Lemmy from Motorhead to play a song apologizing for Mimi, putting Drew in a mental institution. These weren't just celebrity cameos, these were full musical productions with real rock stars. Fact 7. They made episodes with intentional mistakes, so viewers could compete for prizes. The show produced multiple episodes containing deliberate continuity errors and mistakes, and viewers at home competed to identify the most errors with prizes awarded to winners. This format proved unique enough that The Price is Right later adopted it for April Fool's Day episodes. Drew Carey now hosts that show, which means a gimmick from his sitcom followed him to his game show career. Fact 6. It became the first primetime show to simulcast on the internet.
LewisHotBod.com. Excuse my freakishly large hands.
On November 17, 1999, the episode Drew Cam became the first primetime show to simulcast an episode on the internet, a technological milestone that predated mainstream streaming by over a decade. Most people in 1999 were still on dial-up connections, and the idea of watching a TV show on your computer qualified as genuinely novel. The Drew Carey Show did it first. Fact 5. The show celebrated Cleveland, constantly, but never actually filmed there. The Drew Carey Show took place in Cleveland, Ohio, which happens to be Carey's actual hometown. He chose Cleveland specifically because it wasn't getting attention on television, wanting to represent Midwest grit and dry humor, rather than the typical New York or Los Angeles settings. Here's the thing though, the show filmed entirely at Stage 17, Warner Brothers Studios in Burbank, California. The Cleveland Rocks opening credits were shot on location in Cleveland at various landmarks including Cleveland Arcade, Shooters on the Water, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Jacobs Field, which is now Progressive Field, Main Avenue Bridge, Steve's Lunch, and Halley Building. The Warsaw Tavern, where Drew and his friends hung out, drew inspiration from the Memphis Plaza Lounge in Old Brooklyn. That owner refused to sell naming rights to Warner Brothers, but allowed exterior filming, and the exterior shots actually came from Murphy's Law Bar in Cleveland's Brookside neighborhood. Product placements included real Cleveland brands like Antonio's Pizza Boxes from the Parma location, where Carey once worked, plus Pierre's Ice Cream. The show celebrated Cleveland constantly, but the cast and crew never actually worked there. Fact 4. Music licensing issues buried the show for 20 years. Only Season 1 ever made it to DVD. 20 years passed before the complete series became available anywhere. The problem came down to music rights. Drew Carey insisted that any home release match original broadcasts exactly, and with all those musical episodes, rock star cameos, and popular songs woven throughout the series, clearing the rights proved essentially impossible. August 2024. That's when the complete series finally appeared on a streaming platform, exactly 20 years after the finale aired. Even the Plex streaming version that finally came out features heavily edited music, with songs replaced by generic versions and scenes cut if characters even whistle or hum a copyrighted tune. Drew's Dance Party Special got removed entirely from streaming. The 2025 DVD release for the 30th anniversary still lacks 4 episodes entirely: Drew's Dance Party, Drew Carey's Back to School Rock and Roll, Comedy Hour Parts 1 and 2, and What's Love Got to Do with It? You cannot watch the complete original Drew Carey Show as it actually aired. Parts of it remain functionally lost. Fact 3. ABC signed a $152 million contract and then tried to bury the show. In June 2001, ABC signed a $152 million contract with Warner Bros. For seasons 8 and 9. Ratings collapsed dramatically after that, and by season 8, the show had fallen outside the top 100. ABC tried to exit the Warner Bros. Contract, but couldn't get out of it. What they did next was remarkable. They actively sabotaged their own show. First came a move to Monday at 8 p.m., directly opposite Monday Night Football. Then they pulled the show mid-season and burned off the remaining season 8 episodes during summer 2003 when nobody was watching. Season 9 got buried entirely in summer 2004, with episodes airing out of production order, so the storylines didn't even make sense. No ABC executives attended the final taping. Director Sam Simon put it this way: "You can point to a lot of things that ABC did. They did a lot of things that were dumb, and I think this was one of them." He added, "If the people who put the show on the air at ABC were still there, we'd still be on the air, and we'd still be a hit." The series finale on September 8th, 2004, drew just 5.36 million viewers. The Friends finale happened the same season with massive fanfare and cultural event status. The Drew Carey Show got dumped in a summer burn-off slot and quietly disappeared. Fact 2. The real reason Christa Miller left the show. Christa Miller played Kate for 7 seasons before leaving in 2002. The official reason given at the TV Critics Association press tour was that she has a family and wants to pursue other interests. The real reason tells a different story. Her husband Bill Lawrence had created Scrubs in 2001, and she took the recurring role of Jordan Sullivan on that show instead. Miller's casting on The Drew Carey Show had its own unusual origin story. She convinced Larry David to give her an unaired rough cut of a Seinfeld episode called The Doodle to show producers who thought she lacked experience. Her character got written out abruptly. Kate falls in love with an Air Force officer during the course of a single week, gets married, and moves to Guam. Fact 1. Drew Carey gave away his car on set. When initial ratings for the show came back strong, the production company gifted Carey a Porsche 911. Carey walked onto the set and shouted, "Who here has the worst car?" A crew member said he didn't have a car at all. Carey threw him the keys to his old Miata on the spot. Conclusion: what happened to everyone after Drew Carey has hosted The Price is Right since October 15, 2007, earning approximately $12.5 million per year? His net worth sits at an estimated $165 million, and he owns a 7.5% stake in Seattle Sounders FC worth approximately $51 million. During the 2023 writers' strike, he quietly paid between $400,000 and $600,000 for writers' meals at Bob's Big Boy restaurant. Craig Ferguson parlayed his role as Mr. Wick into hosting The Late Late Show from 2005 to 2014, winning a Peabody Award along the way. 2 Daytime Emmy Awards followed for hosting Celebrity Name Game. Ryan Stiles continues on, Whose Line Is It Anyway?, having appeared in 408 episodes across 20 seasons through 2023 as both performer and executive producer. Kathy Kinney reprised Mimi on The Price is Right, April Fool's episodes in 2009 and 2010, and she created Mrs. P, a children's literacy character. A mini reunion happened in 2019 when Drew Carey, Ryan Stiles, and Kathy Kinney guest starred alongside series star Diedrich Bader on American Housewife as part of ABC's Cast from the Past week. The Drew Carey Show ran for 9 seasons and 233 episodes, featured some of the most ambitious musical productions in sitcom history, pioneered internet simulcasting, got sabotaged by its own network, and then vanished for 2 decades because of music licensing disasters. Only Drew Carey and Diedrich Bader appeared in all 233 episodes, making them the show's true Ironmen across nearly a decade of production. This was a show about a guy from Cleveland who worked in middle management, hung out at a bar with his friends, and fought with his coworker Mimi. Somehow, it became one of the strangest and most experimental sitcoms of the 90s, with a legacy that's still being sorted out 30 years later. Cleveland rocks indeed.